level that's underneath the hood. Get it? Okay. So, some things to remember, things you got to keep focused on. The snapshot, and it's basically a picture of the schematic, is taken with the ignition off. So if I need to, like, look at the ignition switch or any switch, remember, those are always in their relaxed off. So if I need to, like, trace it through, I may need to turn that switch on by drawing it. And remember, the switches, anyways, we'll talk more about it. And honestly, it requires some mental gymnastics. You just got to think it through. Where does it go? Where does the power go? Where does it get its ground from? Get it? Anyways. So here is a power distribution schematic. And this is the same one that I was using before. Okay? Remember BAT1 and BAT2 fuses? Well, here they are. This is further up the chain. And now I'm seeing more of my ignition switch. Get it? So where is my start line? Here is my start line, right? When this switch switches to start, it sends power out on this yellow line. Remember the yellow line? Well, this guy also now we're showing more of the ignition switch. We're still not seeing it all. We're just seeing more of it. Okay? So I got BAT2 comes into here, and it junctions off. This is inside the switch because it's inside the dash line. This switch here, this switch here, this switch here. See this dash line right here? See it? That means that's a mechanical connection. So when one of these switches moves, like this one, to run, these guys all switch to run. Get it? Okay. The other thing we have is see these fat lines right here? What these fat lines mean is in off and run, this guy remains hot. But if I go into accessory, bulb tester start, this line goes dead. Get it? And, we can look at what it's attached to. It comes down to S371, right? Goes to S371. That's a splice. Then it splices out light blue, the circuit 26, circuit 26, circuit 26. And it goes to a body fuse, an RSS fuse, an ignition 0 fuse, the ABS fuse. Get it? Those don't keep power during start or accessory. Get it? Now we look at this one over here. This one, the big fat line, this guy keeps its power in run and start. So when I go stir and let the key go, that's run. And look what's powered up for that. During start and run, it powers up this line, this pink line, circuit number 3, right? Comes down here, circuit number 3, it powers up ignition 1 fuse. It also powers up ECS, PCM, distributor, injectors. This is all the stuff that requires power to make the car go room. Get it? So those have to be powered up whenever the car's in run and start. Get it? So what would happen if this car lost its power in, like this guy went bad right here, and it had power in start, but when I flipped it to run, this guy lost power. Well, the car would start, room, and as soon as I released the key, it would die. Room, take the key off, bleh. Ignition switch problem. That's not terribly uncommon. It's hard to diagnose unless you're smart. Anyways. So what else is on schematics? Well, there's a bunch of stuff. I mean, it does help me locate components, but it doesn't sometimes tell me exactly what they are. I can have wiring, like firing orders on there if I look at the ignition. The nice thing is it gives me like test points, because there are some schematics that show specifically test points. And we'll talk about this when we get into the lab and when we start looking at schematics more in depth. Okay. Engine controls. I use it all the time when I'm doing a drivability thing. I can look up and I can see what's on the same wiring or what's sharing the same ground in engine management. And usually the engine has, one major ground, and if that ground starts to go bad or get squirrely at all, it can cause me drivability problems. But once I realize what's on there, I can go look at ground distribution and go, oh, look at, those are the things that are on that ground. All I really have to do is just test one of them to hit that ground. Get it? We'll talk more. And sometimes it's what's not there that's important. Again, we'll talk more about it. All right, so ways to cheat. Use common connections to your advantage. I mean, if I look at, I'm in there trying to diagnose, the headlights are out. And I realize that the headlights are sharing the same fuse, the same power branch and power distribution as, say, the cigarette lighter or the dome light. I open the door, dome light comes on. I know that fuse is good. Do I have to go check the fuse? No. But then, also I can use these common connections on the ground side. And this is where a lot of technicians don't do this, which to me seems weird. I have, especially if I have multiple failures, there's multiple complaints, electrical complaints on a car, a lot of people freak out. And they're like, hey, look at all that stuff that's wrong, Oh, holy God, man, this is, usually it's only one fault that's causing it, and it can be on the ground side. So I got power distribution side that I can say, all these circuits are connected to the same fuse. I can also use the power distribution side saying, all of these things are connected to the same ground. Now, I'll give you this little tip. Usually when stuff is acting really funky, like there's a lot of weirdness going on, like I push on the brake and the dome light comes on. I mean, weird stuff. I go to roll the window down and the horn blows. That's generally a ground fault. When it's really bizarre, check your grounds. 99% of the time, that's where you're going to find your fault. Anyways, so again, we look at these schematics and they tell me stuff. I know if I look at this schematic right here and I'm looking at this yellow wire, I got a car that doesn't crank, doesn't start. No stir, no click, no nothing. I know, first thing I'm probably going to check and see if I got power at this purple line when I go to start. If I don't have power on the purple line, I'm probably going to back up and go to back 2 fuse. But back 2 fuse would take out a whole bunch of stuff. I'd take out tons of stuff. So I would probably go check and see if my back 2 other stuff it's powering is working. If that's working, I'm pretty sure back 2 fuse is good. Okay, and then I may want to back up through the circuit. I check power here, maybe check bat 1, but the easiest way to diagnose a circuit is divide the circuit in half at the theft deterrent relay. Maybe find the theft deterrent relay. Pull that out. When I turn this key to start and my park neutral position switch is in park or neutral, I should have B plus there. If I don't have B plus there, I got to go upstream. If I do have B plus there, I'll check for ground on this side. Get it? I mean, I can hit both halves of the circuit at this relay. That's where I'm probably going to go. Unless it's in a really inaccessible place, and then I probably won't go there. But easy, simple, stupid. Right. Diagnostic process. Verify the customer complaint. Make sure you know what you're fixing based on the customer complaint. And then also realize that the customer complaint, they don't have, how do I say this politely? We're generally smarter than them, and we use different terms. We start using industry terms to describe this stuff. They don't have those. So sometimes what they'll say, what they'll say on the complaint doesn't make any sense. My brake light comes on occasionally. Could they be talking about the brake lights on the back of the car? They might be talking about the brake light on the dashboard. Brake warning light, the red brake warning light, brake. Anyways, make sure you know what you're fixing. Then run down the rest of the car, especially if you got a weird problem. start paying attention to the other circuits in the car to see if you can find a common connection between them. So check over the whole car. Narrow down the problem sources, use your brain, plan ahead. I mean, I'll go look at schematics for 10 minutes, walk over, do a couple of tests, you know, that's my attack on the car, run a couple tests. Okay, it'll power there. Well, let's go figure out where it gets power from. Get it? And then, you know, you set your tests up, use common connections to your advantage, observe while you work. I don't know how many times I've, you know, just by keeping my eyes open, I'm testing stuff and I actually find the problem. Oh, there it is. And then leave no footprints. And what that means is nobody should be able to tell that you've been in there once you're out. You know what I mean? Anyways. And then make the repair. You know, try not to use the part shotgun, you know, and if you're wrong, start again. Back up, try it again. And then verify the repair. Make sure what you've attempted to fix is actually working, and then also make sure there's no other problems with the car. And I've had this happen. You know, customer complaint. No, my power windows don't work. I fixed the power windows, and then I realized there's another problem with the car. Because all of a sudden, other stuff either starts working, but it doesn't work correctly, or doesn't work, and sometimes they don't even notice that it doesn't work. Like, you know, the horn doesn't work. I love that one. You know, most people, how often do you blow your horn, man? Hardly ever. You know? But, you know, a lot of times, you know, I'll check, you know, always check the horn. Schematic should be your first stop. Mark all the common connections. Think lazy. And honestly, it's just the basics, you know? Check the basics. Does it have power? Does it have ground? Is the fuse good? Is the switch good? Is the load good? Voltage drops are your friend. That's about it. Okay? Thanks.